In this video, we're going to learn about similar figures. Again, still part of Unit 6, so we're coloring red. Similar figures are closed figures that have the exact same shape but a different size. We can use proportions to find any of the missing information. So for example, I like to match up the sides. So for this one, let me get a couple of different colors here. It makes it a little easier to see. The 6 side of this triangle matches up very well with the 12 side of that triangle. They're the same side, they're still the short side, although one is a little bit shorter than the other depending on which triangle you look at. For this one, the 9 is the longest side of that triangle and it matches up with X, which is the longest side of that triangle. So when I set up proportions for similar figures, I usually start with the figure on the left and travel to the figure with the right when I set up my proportion. So I would do 6 over 12. 6 over 12 is equal to, starting with the triangle on the left, 9 over X. And then I could cross multiply and solve. So 6 times X gives me 6X is equal to 12 times 9, and I can put that in the calculator if I need to. 12 times 9 is 108. To solve that equation, I would divide both sides by 6, and I end up with X is equal to 108 divided by 6 is 18. There are no units in the problem, so I don't need to report any units in my final answer. Example number 2 is a little bit more challenging because the shape has been flipped around a little bit. So when I see something like this, I typically try to find the longest side and match that one up first. So the 96 here matches with the 12. For me, recognizing the longest side is easier. And then I would match up whatever side has the variable on it with whatever side I need to look at in this shape. So I would have to kind of match up, okay, this goes with this, the shape has been flipped over, so the X would have to match with the 56. You only need to match 2 sides in order to do a proportion, in order to find a missing side length. We'll do it a couple of different ways for this question, but here, again, it's easy for me to pick the short or the long side first and then the side with the variable. You always need to pick the side with the variable. So here, 96 over 12 is equal to, again, going from left to right, 56 over X. So I would cross multiply to solve. 96X is equal to 12 times 56, which is 672. Divide both sides by 96, and I end up with X is equal to 7. Let me show you, it doesn't matter which 2 sides you pick. Let's say, for example, here, it's also easy to match up a short side. So let's say I matched up 48 and 6. So I could also use 48 over 6 is equal to 56 over X. And again, it's important to maintain direction. So if you start with a shape on the left and go to the shape on the right, you need to make sure you're consistent. So 48 times X, 48X. 6 times 56 is 336. In order to solve, I'd have to divide both sides by 48. And I'm left with X is equal to 7. So it does not matter which side you pick, you'll get the same answer either way. Example number 3 gives us a word problem. It says a baby giraffe is 6 feet tall and casts a shadow that is 2 feet long. Fill in the length of the shadow that a 18-foot statue casts. So if I think about a baby giraffe, don't laugh too hard at my artwork here, a little stick figure baby giraffe, little ears. My baby giraffe is 6 feet tall, and he casts a shadow that is 2 feet long. So So notice this kind of makes a triangle shape. I've got my baby giraffe, 6 feet tall, over my shadow, 12 feet. Okay. Find the length of the shadow that an 18-foot statue casts. So I have an 18-foot shadow. I'm not going to try and draw my statue. You guys get the idea. You can just draw a line. Okay, and we want to know how long the shadow is. So we don't know the length of the shadow, but we do know that the statue is 18 feet. And again, it makes a triangle. We can match up our sides. 6 feet matches with 18 feet. They're both in the vertical direction. And 2 feet would match with X in the shadow. So to set up my proportion, I would have 6 over 18 is equal to 2 over X. And instead of going from left to right, I went from top to bottom. And I set up my proportion. Notice I'm consistent. 6 over 18, 2 over X. Same direction both times. So cross multiply, 6 times X is 6X. Is equal to 18 times 2, which is 36. To solve this equation, I'd have to divide both sides by 6. And I would end up with X is equal to 6. And in this case, there should be some units. We measure the length of the shadow in feet. So my final answer would be 6 feet.